Welcome back to Hazardous Endeavors.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. Talk woo in our sleeps, because we're sleeping.
I'm hearing some ringing in my ears.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to Digital and Dice's Actual Play 5th Edition podcast, where we find our heroes waking up as... Well, we find our hero, Elliot Frostmoon, waking up as several alarm spells are going off all at once.
Three,
of them.
but there's nothing in my room.
There doesn't seem to be. You wake up and with the alarm spell blaring in your head, and you look around your room immediately in panic to see if anything is in there, and right off the bat you notice there's something distinctly wrong with the room that you are in. Something is different than it was when you went to bed. Mm-hmm. So while there doesn't seem to be any creatures or anything that might have crossed the line for your spell, you start looking around the room and you're noticing things just by the moonlight coming in through what you now notice to be cracked and broken shutters over the window. You're looking around at the room and... Go ahead.
Dancing lights.
Okay, so dancing lights appear out of your hands and now illuminate what seems to be almost like a rundown shack or hovel. Anything in the room that looked nice, clean, and new when you went to sleep is now rotting through, moth-eaten, holes in the various bits and pieces. It definitely seems like it's been exposed to the elements for quite a while.
That's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is my staff and to... who's in the room? Is one of my friends in one of the walls next to me?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Wilf's room is adjacent to you on one side. Jaxom and Lindo's rooms are across the hall from you.
I go up to the wall with Jaxom's room in it and just thunderwave...
Wilf's room?
Wilf's room, and just thunderwave the wall in.
Okay, so at this point, as you're getting up and gathering your things and about to cast your spell, the rest of you get to make me Constitution saves.
Oh, goody.
I am the Constitution. Da, 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 da.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah?
8.
Okay.
Well,
Wilf?
I'm going to say 16.
A 16?
12.
12. Okay, so, Lindo, you remain asleep and take 3 points of cold damage. Jaxom, you as well stay asleep, and you take 3 points of cold damage as well. Wilf, you actually wake up shivering. You feel like all of the warmth in your life has been sucked out of you somehow, and several things happen in very quick succession. The first thing that happens is you get this overwhelming smell of rot and decay that enters your nostrils. Then you feel that the covers that are over you smell musty and feel clammy and wrong as you look down and you see that they're threadbare and rotted. You then notice directly to your right as you're kind of looking through the darkness, you notice directly next to your bed tiny hands that are reaching out and grasping onto your arm, that are coming off of what look to be a gray, emaciated child with cobwebs and dust for its clothing, with what looks to be a little kind of colored bandana around its neck, but seems to have a raccoon skull where its head would normally be. And it's holding onto you, and you can feel that cold radiating from its hands as it's holding onto you and sucking the life out of you that way.
How malevolently adorable.
And then immediately upon noticing this, there is a thunderous boom from the wall directly next to you, between your and Elliot's room, as go ahead, and I believe it's a Constitution save against Thunderwave. I'll give you advantage due to the fact that there is what's left of a wall between you.
Oh, lovely.
And,
lovely.
I'll roll for the creature here.
I did use a charge.
Okay, which I believe, as we stated, that ups the DC by 1?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
great.
so what is your DC?
15.
No.
Okay, so that fails on its side as well. So, Elliot, your thunderwave blasts through the wall, causing the rotting wood planks to splinter out and fly across what's Wilf's room on the other side. Wilf, you and this creature are just blasted across the room to hit the opposite wall. What damage is that?
7.
7 points. Okay. So you and the creature both take 7 points and are blasted 10 feet across the room.
That sounds fantastic.
At this point, both Jaxom and Lindo hear that echoing boom sound coming from across the hall.
Time up, Susan!
Which,
Who's Susan?
as stated though, as you wake up and you wake up with a start, you're both shivering with this cold, and you both notice that next to your bed seems to be one of these childlike apparitions that is holding on and is just draining the heat from you with its touch.
I take a swing at it to get it off me.
Goodbye, tiny monster!
Okay, so you just punch.
Yes.
Just wailing at it with your fist. Go ahead and give me a roll.
That's gonna be an interesting one.
And Lindo, what are you doing as you notice this?
I throw a blanket over it.
Okay.
16.
A 16 to hit it. Yes, you absolutely hit it. So you just slam it in the face. Go ahead and roll me damage.
4.
4 points. Okay, so you deck this thing across its raccoon skull, and as you do so, it kind of lets out a kind of this echoey cry that fills your room and just kind of prickles on the edge of your psyche.
You absolute monster.
As I do that, I go to roll out of bed and go grab sword and shield.
Okay, Lindo, go ahead and give me a. Let's see. You're throwing a blanket over it, almost like a net.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and give me a ranged attack roll.
Okay.
So dexterity plus your proficiency bonus.
Let's see, that is 13 plus 3 is a 16.
Yep, 16's enough. So you grab what's left of the blanket that's covering you, and you throw it off of you, covering the this creature who is now kind of trying to find its way out from underneath it.
Can I pick it up?
Yeah, you'll get a moment as it tries to escape. So,
Meh.
At this point, let's go back to Wilf and Elliot. So Wilf, at this point, you found yourself 10 feet across your room in a pile on the floor next to this weird skull-headed child. And you see through the hole in your wall, you see Elliot standing there, looking very perturbed.
What the hell, Frostmoon?
I bow, O tortured monarch, to your throne of madness, crown of madness on the thing.
Okay, so he responds to you by casting a spell and pointing just a little bit off to your left where this creature is trying to get up. And let's give it a save here. Ooh, that is a 5 on the die. I'm going to assume that. Yeah, no, I'm sure it's not. No, it's
Crazy
under 10.
raccoon.
Ooh.
So Wilf, this creature as it's standing up next to you, you note that this kind of twisted iron crown suddenly materializes around its head and is kind of floating above it as the creature kind of looks up towards Elliot. And instead of getting into like an attack posture, it seems to be kind of quizzically looking at him.
Go to that room and destroy the other that looks like you.
So it kind of looks around and looks back at Wilf for a moment.
I'll give it a rude gesture.
And then it turns and scurries out the door.
I'll also now gather more weapons and more stuff. I don't have a chance to put my armor on, I'm sure, but...
Mr.
Right.
Wilf, there is 3 alarms went off. I took care of 1. We should take care of the other 2.
Sounds like a plan.
Sorry for the damage.
Back to Lindo and Jaxom here. Lindo, you have this thing, and it's attempting to get away from it. It actually seems to be tearing through the fabric of the blanket, and it kind of reaches one arm out at you.
I smack it.
Through it. Well, let's see. What is your...
No.
Ooh. I'm going to
Bad
assume does a 22 hit you?
Yes.
Okay. So
No scratching.
it reaches out and scratches you for another 3 points of cold damage. And please give me a wisdom save.
What, did you say wisdom?
Yes, a wisdom save, please.
Ah.
Oh, I'm sure you have total confidence in that.
I not 20.
Okay. You feel like it's trying to do something else to you. Like, you feel this magic kind of wash over you for a moment, but then you just resist it.
No, kitty. No matter how adorable you are not cute enough to scratch. Bad kitty.
Jaxom, same thing with you. This one kind of runs over and grabs at you, and you see the raccoon skull opens, and it looks like it's about to try to take a bite from you.
How dare you?
Oh, and does a 12 hit you?
Unfortunately, yes.
Ah, yes. Minus your armor, and without having picked up your shield yet, it
Are you made of squish with no
certainly
armor?
does.
Huh?
Are you made of squish with no armor?
With a -1 to my dex? Yeah.
All right, 4 points of cold damage, and then please give me a wisdom save.
4 points of cold damage, huh?
Yep.
Wisdom save. Wisdom. 21.
21. Okay, you also succeed. You feel the magic attempt to wash over you, but you resist it and push it away. So, Lindo, go ahead and make me a strength check
Okay.
as you're attempting to wrap this thing up, and I'm assuming pick it up?
I just gonna pick it up and sling it over my shoulder.
Okay. Let's see.
9.
Okay, you are struggling with it. It doesn't seem to want to come with you, and you're
Stop
having
it.
issues with
Stop it.
the blanket
Stop
itself
it.
is tearing too much. Jaxom, so you've acquired your sword and your shield from the corner, and this thing is right behind you.
Damnation, you beast. Die. And I attack.
Okay,
He's
roll
always
it.
so dramatic.
But it's so cute.
10.
A 10
Most
misses.
likely, yeah. And a 17.
17 will hit. All right, is this a normal hit or a smite?
This is going to be a normal hit for right now.
Okay.
And these are
These are undead, yeah,
Undead,
so you do
yes.
get your additional bonus die from your sword.
15.
15, okay. Your sword, blazes into holy fire as you're in the proximity of the creature, and as you slam down with your sword, it just cuts cleanly through from shoulder to hip, just splaying bones, dust, and scattered bits of cloth around the room on the floor that kind of wisp away with that radiant fire into nothingness. So the creature in your room is now gone.
All right.
You hear scuffling and fighting coming from other rooms.
I kick out my door and continue on.
Okay. I'll go ahead and say that as you kick out your door, you notice there's another one in the hallway. This one seems to be looking up at you, but unlike the other one, this one seems to have a twisted iron crown floating above its head, and its eyes are glowing just a little slightly more than the other one was.
It's the leader. Kill it.
That looks like Frostmoon's done at something.
Seen that spell yet?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Yeah, I do not believe you have currently seen this spell.
Well, then I will bar its path.
Okay.
I use both my attacks.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're standing in the doorway ready for it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so let's go back to Elliot. What are you doing?
I stomp out of the room, notice that Jackson's fine, point to Lindo's room and say, go in there and kill the one that's in there.
Okay. So that one starts to run over there. Wilf, what are you doing? You have gathered your weapons.
I've gathered my weapons, throw essentially rest of my stuff in my bag.
Putting his pasties on.
Well, running around without a shirt is very, very manly. I do throw my cloak around my shoulders, and
enough.
I think that pretty much takes up most of my turn. I move my way out into the hallway.
Okay. So you make your way out into the hallway. You see Jaxom standing in his doorway, wearing just, he's got his pants and a sword and a shield, and his sword is blazing with brilliant, radiant light. You see another one. You see the creature with the crown making its way over towards Lindo's room.
Mr. Jaxom?
Yes.
Lindo's being attacked as well.
No, kitty, no.
And this one,
Bad kitty, bad.
I point to the one.
Oh, I may have. He's fine for the moment.
The one that you sent over there goes over, reaches up, and grabs the door handle and opens the door, and is now standing in the doorway.
Fucking adorable.
So it just stretches up there with its
Gotta kill its
paws
tippy toes.
Yeah.
Tippy toes.
So Lindo, you see another one of these things open the door, and just from the light you can see in the hallway, all you see is another one of these creatures silhouetted, and this one has a floating iron crown and glowing eyes.
Can
Secondary creepy
as it's
kitty.
staring at you. The one that's in the bag is fighting back at you and attempts to bite at your hands. Oh, yeah, that is a 23.
No,
Can we
kitty,
keep
no.
one?
All right, so
No, you cannot keep an undead abomination, Mr. Wilf.
2 points of cold damage, and please make me a wisdom save.
Why not?
If you
A
can
nat
convince
20.
Mr. Jaxom, then
And nat
go
20.
for it.
Okay, you successfully ward off yet another one of these creatures' influence.
AKA, go ask your dad.
So at this point, Lindo, go ahead and give me another roll if you're attempting to swing this thing in the bag.
Swing it in the bag. Da, da, da. You know, I am not a strong man.
All right, so you're still wrestling with it?
Okay.
Okay. Jaxom, what are you doing?
I head into the room and notice,
Jaxom, there are all these cats everywhere. They're all
and I'll
emaciated.
take a swing at
Tiny.
the bag in his hands.
Okay, so you go and you swing at the bag that Lindo's trying to yank around. All
Yep.
right, go for it.
It's 12.
A 12. You know what? I'll give you advantage because it's currently wrapped up in a bag.
20.
Okay, that hits. Go ahead and roll your damage.
9.
9 points. Okay. Yeah. You hack into it and the radiant fire burns away at the sack that's around it, or the blanket, I suppose. The thing kind of screeches and you hear that kind of echoing sob as it falls apart. Dust motes and bits of cloth dissipating.
What the heck, Jaxom? I was going to take it to the rescue shelter.
Wilf?
What? All right. Is there any others than, your lame one right there?
That spell means that if it doesn't have anything to attack, it will just continue to attack my friends now.
Sounds like a plan. And give it a good chop.
All right. So you run up behind the one that Jaxom ran by and go ahead.
And I'm going to hit it. Making a chop pretty much at the back of it where its little cute, adorable skull meets its little spine.
All right. Go for it.
Oh.
Yeah, I think 23 should probably
Yes,
do it.
absolutely.
And you know what? Nah, I don't need to flourish this. I don't actually need to flourish this. Nah.
All right.
But I'll do 10 damage to it.
Okay,
as-
that in addition to the thunder wave damage that it got dealt before, you easily just hack into it and it just clatters to the ground and scatters the dust and cloth and bits of bone.
I wanted to keep it.
I was going to bring it to
No.
a rescue shelter, so you could have adopted it.
About this time, you're starting to hear banging coming from down the hallway where the other people from the inn were staying, and as the doors are starting to break in, you see it just kind of rotted, emaciated hands and claws start to break out from the rooms. You're seeing rotting silks kind of cascading from just skeletal bodies as they're now breaking through and looking down the hallway at you.
I'm still in the hallway, correct?
Yes, I believe you still are.
Okay. As loudly as I can, I say these words. I call upon the realm of the Ifrit. Burn. Fireball.
All right. So that fireworks-esque launching of down the hallway from your hand as it hits that end of the hallway and then detonates into a large burst of fire, which you then, they respond by screaming in agony and pain, for their turn.
That was dramatic.
I'm not even going to bother it because they were literally right there. So, they are now all on fire and or screaming in pain as you now have caught that entire half of the upstairs hallway on fire.
Time to get out.
Everybody grab your gear.
Jump out the window.
Okay.
Did Elliot set fire to the stairway?
No, he set fire to the opposite end of the hallway from the stairway. So there's actually still a stairway that you guys can access.
Oh, then I'll go down that one.
Elliot, did you get your stuff?
Oh, yeah. Give me a second.
All right, so Elliot runs back into his room to grab something. The three of you start making your way downstairs?
I put my things on.
I need to grab my gear.
Okay, so all of you run back into your rooms, quickly gather up your gear in your arms, and go running down the stairs. And as you do so, you actually kind of tumble down. You'll note that The stairs themselves are a bit rotted as well, and you actually can feel them creaking and bowing under your feet as you're running downstairs.
I'm sure I hear some snapping now and again.
Yeah.
As I'm running down, mage armor.
Okay, you cast Mage Armor on yourself as you're
Yes.
doing so. The rest of you are kind of run downstairs, and as you make your way into the inn common room, you see ahead of you and a little off to the right towards the bar, the spectral form of Barnabas, who is kind of at first behind the bar. As he looks up, you can see through him to the broken and dirty bottles that are on the shelves behind him, and he lets out this... as he then starts to slowly
Barnabas.
float forward through the bar, and you can see the kind of glowing malevolence in his eyes as he's kind of reaching out towards you.
Yeah, I can't say I'm terribly fond of that. I'm gonna say, Barnabas, this is just not a good look for you. Vicious mockery.
Okay. So I believe that is a charisma save? Or?
He's got to make a will.
Okay, wisdom save. For him, that is a 12.
12 does not do it.
Okay.
And so he takes 2d4.
2d4, go for it. Lindo, Jaxom, and Elliot, what are you doing as this is
I
happening?
roll an investigation to see if there is somewhere like a load-bearing beam or something like that.
Okay, go ahead and roll that.
That's 5 psychic damage,
5
and
points.
he has disadvantage on his on attacks for the next turn.
Okay, you got that.
26. Natural 20.
Natural 20. Okay, you definitely note there's a couple load-bearing support struts here in this room that if you think you can take those out, the rest of the second floor will collapse in.
Okay, get out, get out, get out, get out. I call upon the magic. Hit my target true. Magic missile.
Okay, so you start launching magic missiles. You get, what, 3 of them
Yep.
for this level? Okay.
Well, I think we're scrambling out while he's shooting
Okay.
the beam.
I am still in my underclothes.
So am I.
So, with the giant pile of my stuff, I run out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume
That's why we have
I do not
backpacks.
have a free arm to take a swing at Barnabas as...
You're carrying your
All my
plate
stuff.
armor
Yep,
and your
it's-
bag and
yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay.
So you go, the 3 of you start running out the door as Elliot, also running out, casts his spell, and your magic missiles fly straight and true, and they hit the rotting support structure. And you hear the splintering of wood and the shattering as all 3 of the different supports suddenly break. And as you guys make your way out into the front of the inn, the whole second floor collapses down, kind of with an echoing thwoomph and a clatter of wood, causing the second floor to still be on fire, casting a wonderful, orange and red glow about the central square of the town.
Talk about bringing down the house.
Ha 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 ha.
So the awning that was above the front area has now fallen down and created kind of a bit of a large, wide, planked area that is right in front of all of this burning fire from the inn. And ahead of you in the square, you see where the well house was. It is directly there in the middle. And as the light from the fire is now showing what you can see of the central courtyard here, you see sitting on top of it a familiar figure. Just as you saw her in the previous evening, you see Brenda Lightfingers kind of casually lounging on top of the well house with her lute kind of held, one end against her hip and her hand on the struts, I believe. Yeah, that's what they're called. The neck, the neck, frets, neck,
Struts.
Yeah.
one hand up there and the other half, resting on her hip.
I know the instrument, do you?
And she's looking out at you, and she has this kind of wry smile on her face as she looks around, and she waves one hand and says, "It doesn't really matter what you do here, you know that. You can't escape, and you will soon become a member of this fair town, just like everyone else has."
You can't turn me into a skull cat.
Well, you even banter like a second-rate performer.
One raised eyebrow just arched in annoyance as she very quickly strums her lute that echoes throughout the central square, and as she does so, you start hearing shuffling and moaning as what looks to be the entire population of the town kind of shuffles in out of the darkness around her. You see skeletons, you see zombies, you see more spectral forms that you can see through kind of floating above the ground, as all the different townsfolk you had seen throughout the day are appearing around her. It has to be dozens of them.
Leave it to you to have the entire town at your feet and you still play a dead house.
Crowd seems dead. I agree.
You seem to think, Master Gnome, that you could do any better. I heard you playing. I know better than that.
Oh, it's not like I strut my stuff for just any little place. Or unless you think that you can beat me, which obviously is a foolish idea.
Loud, shrill laughter echoing throughout the area. She looks at you and says, "Oh, little man, I could beat you in a bardic competition any day of the week."
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Well, it happens to be Tuesday, dearie.
Ooh.
Is that what you want?
A Tuesday?
As she stands up on top of the well house, and with another quick strum of her hand across her lute, you start hearing kind of rumbling from around her as several of the undead in the circle start to yank panels from the various rotting buildings around her. They start bringing them forward, and in no time at all, within a matter of seconds, they've constructed a stage right there in the middle of the town square in front of the well house between you and her. And it's being held up on the backs of these skeletons, holding it on their shoulders. And she takes a step up and strums her lute once again, and a crash of thunder and lightning splits the sky behind her.
While this is all going on, I start donning my armor as quickly as possible.
Okay, so you're over there just strapping your breastplate on, and yeah.
How many
okay.
choreography meetings do you think that took to get that happening?
Oh no, it looked a little staged. Yes. So, Lindo, you got my back on this?
Oh, sure.
So you're strapping on your armor, Jaxom. Elliot, what are you doing as the two of them take a step up onto the wide wooden platform that used to be the awning of the inn, but is now an impromptu stage in front of a burning house fire?
Hey, Lindo. I call upon the realm of the Jinn. Float.
Oh.
So the same spell that he had cast on you before, you find yourself able to kind of will yourself to fly up into the air.
I throw my cloak over me, so it's basically just Lindo in his nether clothes and a cloak floating in the air.
With your hair flowing down because you don't have it up.
That's right.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here in the rain, wearing leather pants, with a lute.
And as the rain starts to come down, she takes a step forward on her stage and starts to play this echoing, sad song that has almost like a screeching undertone to it that kind of sets your teeth on edge. But as she's playing it, she starts to sing out in this gorgeous voice, this song of loss and emptiness, a song of losing someone and how she yearns to get them back.
Right, here we go.
Excuse me.
And we're going to do a skill challenge for this. We're going to see whether you guys can get 5 successes before 3 failures as a bard off. We're going to be rolling contested performance checks.
All right. So, starting this off.
I'm going to be providing magical backup. Can I give one of them advantage?
Yes, absolutely. So you're providing the what are you doing for your magical backup there, Elliot?
Well, I'm keeping concentration on Lindo's flying.
Okay, you got that.
And then on very specific scenes, I will do either a frostbolt, dancing lights. Well, not dancing lights because that's a concentration spell.
Right. So,
but either small stuff or on big sections, either probably shooting 3.
Like magic missiles, scorching rays. Okay.
Stuff like that.
So you're providing pyrotechnics in the background and allowing
Yes.
Lindo to fly.
Excellent.
Onto the forestage. As I'm starting to play my lute, I cast Major Image. And it narrows down to me and Lindo.
Okay. Well, Jaxom, what are you doing to support them as they start their performance?
I will start trying to take out stage 2, interrupt hers.
Okay, so you're actually going to make your way forward to her stage and try to interrupt her as they're playing.
Yes.
Okay. So what we'll have you guys do is, Elliot, you are assisting Lindo, so Lindo, you can roll your performance check with advantage. You are... he's actually going to... Jaxom's going to impose disadvantage on her roll, so you're rolling normal, Wilf. So go ahead and roll me performance checks, the two of you.
That was a 27.
Okay. And...
18.
18 and a 27. Okay. So at this point, she got a roll of a 24, so you do succeed in this one, for this particular one. So go ahead and start your performance.
A long time ago, me and my brother Lindo, we were walking down a long and lonesome road. All of a sudden, there shined a shiny demon in the middle of the road. And he said, "Play the best song in the world, or I'll eat your soul."
And as you're doing so, your major image is showing this, depiction of a shining demon floating in the middle of your stage, as Lindo is flying around in kind of a half circle around the back of the stage, being backlit by the flaming burning inn. Jaxom, you make your way forward, and as you're doing so, she continues to play her song. The song is becoming more and more emphasized by the crashing of the lightning, the thunder, and you now see several of the ghosts have risen up behind her stage and are supplying their voices to give hers more of kind of that carrying echo. And as she's doing so, it's actually causing this kind of rush of cold, phantasmal air and wind to kind of push away at you in the front. So go ahead and give me a strength check as you're pushing your way through that wind towards her stage.
All right.
Yeah.
I trip.
Okay, so you're making your way forward, and your feet you're digging into the ground as you're doing so. You don't necessarily trip, but you don't make any headway either, and you're kind of pushing against it as this cold phantasmal wind is pushing you back before you can get there. You guys get your next verse.
Well, me and Lindo, we looked at each other. We said, okay. And we played the first thing that came to our head. Just so happened to be the best song in the world. It was the best song in the world. Look into my eyes, it's easy to see. 1 and 1 makes 2, 2 and 1 makes 3. Was destiny.
All right, so the next verse comes through. Go ahead and give me another roll. Elliot, go ahead and make me an Arcana check as you're assisting. I need performance checks from the two of you. Lindo,
16.
yours is at advantage. You go ahead and give me another strength check, Jaxom, as you're making your way forward, attempting to disrupt. All right, Wilf, what was your performance?
That was a 16.
A 16?
23.
A 23?
16.
Back.
What was your Arcana?
16.
16?
7.
A 7? Okay, so you're pushing
It's
through.
a very cold wind.
And as you do
Yes.
so, you kind of pull you have your sword, and it starts to flare into brilliant white light as you're doing so. And you're noticing it seems to be cutting through that wind a little bit. So you're using your sword to lead. You're actually starting to push and get a little bit more headway than you did before. Her roll, ooh, that is a 27 for her roll. As her echoing performance actually kind of starts to overpower yours, and her wails of torment and pain at the loss of this person of her song is about, as she's screaming out that she needs this, she wants them back, she absolutely cannot live on without them. As you guys continue your next verse.
Once every 100,000 years or so, when the sun doth shine and the moon doth grow and the grass doth grow.
Make me performance checks again. Make me that strength check as you're making your way forward.
As I do that, instead of,
Yep.
can I plant my feet? And if that's the way it's going to be, you bitch, turn the unholy.
Okay, so you, as you've made your way forward, you plant your feet, you grasp your sword, and you turn undead.
Yes.
Okay. So that is going to provide advantage for you, Wilf.
Oh,
Actually, sorry, excuse me. No, I'm going to disadvantage for her.
Yeah, disadvantage. You don't want to give me advantage.
Right. So, let's see.
So confident.
Oh yeah, that completely ruined the flow of her performances as several of the undead that are holding up parts of her stage actually start to collapse in on themselves. Several of the ghosts actually shy away mid-sentence, and she actually takes like a half step back as if she was buffeted across the face. How would your goes? Lindo, what's your roll?
23.
A 23, and Wilf.
Natural 20 for 29.
29.
yeah.
Elliot.
15.
A 15, okay. So as you guys continue your next verse, Elliot is punctuating it with massive bursts of light and sound from behind.
And he asked us. Oh,
That natural
Beautiful.
20 shining through.
yes.
Like a beating
Needless
angel.
to say, the beast was stunned. Whip Cracker's whippy tail, and the beast was done. He asked us, "Be you angels?" And we said, "Nay.
We
We are but men. Rock."
Boom!
Whoa.
Explosion from Elliot in the background as the rest of the second floor collapses down in a shower of sparks and energy behind you. And the undead scattering away as Jaxom turns the undead and causes many of them to flee, if not being burned up in holy radiant energy.
Dane, was that us or you?
And as
Yes.
your performance echoes out, and as her performance falters and dies in the middle of the square, you note that most of the undead start to kind of slowly back away. Those that are still standing or have the ability to move are backing away from all of you, leaving her kind of like on the ground, on her butt, leaning against the well house as she's looking at all of you, and she looks incredulously down at her lute and she says, "No, this cannot be."
This is not the greatest song in the world. No. This is just a tribute. We couldn't remember the greatest song in the world. No. This is a tribute. Oh.
As she's looking up, and Jaxom being the closest, still kind of looking down at her. You kind of reach back with your sword, and she looks up at you, and her hands kind of come out in this almost like grasping kind of Y gesture, and she says, "It wasn't supposed to end this way. I couldn't have lost. I can't lose."
You have.
It is the greatest song
As
in the world,
you
yeah.
swing your sword down and just right through her chest and bury it right into the well behind her. The grinding of your song and grinding of your sword against the stone of the well. As she lets out a single screech.
The song in the world, alright.
Right, and as their song echoes into the clearing, her scream kind of echoes along with it, and slowly kind of dies down. The rain starts to cut away, but before it does, each droplet of the rain seems to take a little bit of the town away with it, until finally you're standing in a forest clearing. In front of you are what looks to be a piling of stone that may at one point have been a well, and a set of old bones kind of clattered against them, holding this jeweled lute. And all around you, you see these spectral forms, but instead of the tormented ghosts that you saw before, you see just the transparent images of a lot of the townsfolk you had seen before, and they seem to have content looks upon their face. They seem at peace.
Except for those children we killed.
No, they're there as well.
Oh, good,
you see the
good.
ghosts of the children and the rest of the townsfolk, the merchants you'd seen, and the large merchant with the silks and the rings. He takes a step forward, and his voice echoing a little bit says, my friends, you have freed us. Thank you. And he gives a very deep and flowery bow with arms waving the whole way.
There is no charge for awesomeness, nor attractiveness.
Be at peace. Sleep.
Barnabas, who has his arms around his children, gives a very deep nod of respect, and they all kind of slowly fade away into wisps of nothingness off into the distance as the evening around you kind of clears a bit. You're able to see up into the starry sky, and the only thing left here is the skeleton against this pile of rocks and the jeweled loot laid across its lap.
Oh, I guess to the victor goes the spoils of awesome?
Before you touch that, Mr. Wilf, I need to cast Identify to make sure.
Well, you're a couple moments too late, but we can definitely identify it.
Yes, bring it here.
What's it smell like?
Oh, it smells a little bit like cinnamon.
All right.
So you start your ritual. The rest of you find yourself in an open clearing. You have all of your gear, and there doesn't seem to be much, any better place to set up a camp if you wish to do that.
Mahogany.
Mahogany.
You couldn't stop. You couldn't just stop yourself. And what did it smell like? Cinnamon and...
Mahogany.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So you're able to set up camp right here in the clearing.
I would prefer not to stay in this particular clearing.
What? I
very
thought
well.
that was charming. All the ghosts are gone. It's raining only a little bit. We have this fire.
There is a sense of calm that has suffused the area now. There's no more sense of dread or anything that you were feeling when you woke up.
Bonfire.
We're still attacked by a bunch of literal ghosts.
I also suppose that we could maybe rely on our Holy Knight friend to maybe use some form of divine sense to figure out if there's anything threatening near us.
Yes.
Okay. Upon the examination of the area, you do not see anything beyond the even faintest trace of an undead presence. It seems to have been cleansed from the area due to your actions.
Yes.
Fine.
This area has been cleansed.
Fine, but next time we are in a really weird hotel, do you mind using that divine sense while we're in it?
Maybe.
I mean, we did burn down the hotel. What is the loot?
Oh, well, you're gonna have to wait 10 minutes, Mr. Wilf.
Yeah, you know what? Looking at this hotel, it's almost shining. Yeah.
Right. So, yes, the hotel, it is The Shining.
I'll get it. I'll get it. Oh, yeah.
Right.
It was loose.
So you set up camp as Elliot goes through his ritual, and as he's looking over it, you actually you find that the loot carries with it some enchantments that allows the wielder to cast spells from it. You know, they can use one of its abilities every day, and that it has the ability to enhance a bard's natural spellcasting for the purposes of charming people and that sort of thing.
Ooh.
This one in particular, as you're looking at it, reminds you of a magic item that was described once in one of the books as the Loot of Ages.
Okay, we found quite a rare item. Not one for me, though, Mr. Wilf. You may have it.
You also, because you've identified it, know that if it is attempted to be played before the user has a chance to attune to it, it will actually attempt to rend their psyche asunder.
No touchy. No touchy.
Oh.
I haven't said that yet.
No, but you give it to Wilf, and who has it immediately, and because he's Wilf, immediately starts to play
Mr.
it.
Wilf, stop.
What?
It will hurt you until you've sat with it for a little while.
Like, hurt me how?
Like, the biggest headache you've ever had. You can try it if you'd like. I'd be quite entertained.
I'm gonna hold off on that.
Just sleep
Alright
with
then.
it for a while. It'll be fine.
So,
Yeah, you know, nuzzle.
so as we find our heroes, after the Wayfarers rest in and the town surrounding it has disappeared off into the ether, as the spirits have found their rest, and as you have acquired the magical loot that was presumably used to bind all of those poor souls,
Rock of Ages.
we will end this session. So thank you, dear Digidicers, for joining us for another episode of Hazardous Endeavors. And until next time,
Game on, Internets!